What happens when country music royalty meets daytime television's most unpredictable host? You won't believe what unfolds when Reba McEntire sits down with Jennifer Hudson for what was supposed to be a lighthearted chat about her latest projects. Instead, viewers witnessed one of the most shocking confrontations in recent talk show history, with accusations flying, tempers flaring, and ultimately, a legendary country star storming off set in disgust. Before we get into this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because you're not going to believe what unfolds when two powerhouse personalities clash in ways nobody saw coming. The tension was palpable from the moment Reba McEntire walked onto Jennifer Hudson's set, her signature red hair perfectly styled, and that warm Oklahoma smile lighting up the studio. Hudson, dressed in an eye-catching designer outfit that seemed to scream for attention, greeted her guest with what appeared to be genuine enthusiasm. But seasoned viewers of the show knew that Hudson's friendly demeanor could shift without warning, and tonight would prove to be no exception. "Welcome back to the show, Miss Reba," Hudson exclaimed, her voice carrying that theatrical quality that had become her trademark since launching her talk show. "I have to say, you look absolutely stunning. But then again, you always do, don't you?" Reba, ever the professional, smiled graciously and settled into her chair. "Well, thank you, Jennifer. It's wonderful to be here with you tonight." The interview began smoothly enough, with Hudson asking about Reba's recent tour dates and her thoughts on the current state of country music. But those familiar with Hudson's interview style could sense something brewing beneath the surface. Her questions carried an edge, her tone just a little too sharp, her smile a little too forced. "Now, Reba," Hudson said, leaning forward with that predatory gleam in her eyes that regular viewers had come to recognize as a warning sign, "I've been doing some research, and I have to ask about something that's been on my mind. Your career has had some interesting moments, hasn't it?" Reba's smile faltered slightly, but she maintained her composure. "Well, Jennifer, I've been blessed with a long career. And yes, there have been ups and downs like anyone else in this business." Hudson's laugh was sharp and artificial. "Ups and downs? Honey, let's be real here. I'm talking about that time you completely bombed at the Country Music Awards. Remember that performance where your voice cracked on national television? I mean, we all saw it. The whole country saw it." The studio audience fell silent, sensing the shift in atmosphere. Reba's back straightened, her famous warmth beginning to cool. "Jennifer, I'm not sure what you're referring to specifically, but I've had thousands of performances over my career." "Oh, come on now," Hudson interrupted, her voice rising with what seemed like genuine excitement at having struck a nerve. "Don't play coy with me. We all remember when you tried to hit those high notes and it just didn't happen. I mean, it was painful to watch. Even I felt embarrassed for you, and that's saying something." The country legend's eyes flashed with something dangerous. "I think there might be some confusion here, Jennifer. My performances have always been well received, and I stand behind every single one of them." Hudson wasn't backing down. If anything, she seemed energized by Reba's discomfort, leaning back in her chair with a smug expression that was becoming increasingly familiar to her regular viewers. "But that's not even the best part. What really got me was watching you try to stay relevant by working with all these young artists. I mean, at what point do you just accept that your time has passed? When do you step aside and let the new generation take over?" The audience gasped audibly. Even Hudson's most loyal fans seemed shocked by the brazen disrespect being shown to one of country music's most beloved icons. Reba's hands clenched in her lap, but her voice remained steady, though the Oklahoma drawl became more pronounced as her emotions intensified. "Jennifer, I've been in this business for over 4 decades. I've earned my place, and I continue to earn it with every project I take on. I don't think age should disqualify someone from pursuing their passion." Hudson rolled her eyes dramatically, a gesture that would later be replayed countless times on social media. "Passion? Honey, there's passion, and then there's desperation. And from where I'm sitting, watching you try to collaborate with artists young enough to be your granddaughter looks an awful lot like desperation to me." The breaking point was approaching, and everyone in the studio could feel it. Reba's famous composure was beginning to crack, her voice taking on a steelier edge that longtime fans recognized as a warning sign. "Jennifer, I came here tonight as a guest on your show, expecting to have a respectful conversation. What I'm experiencing is something entirely different. Hudson seemed to interpret this as encouragement rather than a warning. She pressed forward with renewed vigor, her voice becoming more animated and aggressive. Oh, we're just getting started, sweetie. Let's talk about your acting career. Because that's been a real treat to watch, hasn't it? I mean, the sitcom was. Well, let's just say it made for some interesting television. Not good television, mind you, but interesting. The insult hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Reba's entire demeanor shifted, the warm, welcoming presence that had endeared her to millions of fans transforming into something much colder and more formidable. I'm sorry. What did you just say? Hudson, either oblivious to the danger she was courting or simply too caught up in her own performance to care, doubled down on her attack. The sitcom, honey. Reba. 6 seasons of, well, I'm not sure what to call it. Comedy? Drama? A cry for help? I mean, I watched a few episodes, and I kept waiting for the punchlines. They never came. The country music legend slowly rose from her chair, her movements deliberate and controlled, but her eyes blazing with an intensity that made everyone in the studio suddenly very uncomfortable. Jennifer Hudson, I have been nothing but respectful to you since I walked onto this stage. I came here to promote my work and have a pleasant conversation with someone I thought was a fellow professional. Hudson, perhaps finally beginning to realize she had pushed too far, attempted to backtrack with a nervous laugh. Hey now, Reba, I'm just having a little fun here. You know how talk shows work. We keep things lively, right? Lively? Reba's voice rose for the first time, her legendary self-control finally beginning to slip. You call insulting my career, my performances, and my life's work lively? Young lady, I've been in this business since before you were born, and I have never, in all my years of doing interviews, been treated with such blatant disrespect. The studio was dead silent now, every camera capturing what would become one of the most talked about moments in recent talk show history. Hudson, seeming to realize she had crossed a line she couldn't uncross, tried once more to salvage the situation. Look, Reba, maybe we got off on the wrong foot here. Wrong foot? Reba's voice cracked with indignation. Jennifer, there is no foot to get off on here. You invited me as a guest, presumably to have a conversation about my work and my life, and instead you've spent the last 10 minutes trying to tear down everything I've built over 4 decades in this business. Hudson's mask was finally slipping, revealing the entitled, insecure person beneath the carefully crafted television persona. Well, maybe if you weren't so sensitive about a little constructive criticism. Constructive criticism? Reba laughed, but there was no humor in it. Honey, there was nothing constructive about anything you just said. That was pure malice. And I won't sit here and be a target for whatever issues you're working through. The tension in the studio had reached a breaking point. Production assistants were frantically trying to signal to Hudson to change course, but she seemed determined to defend her indefensible behavior. Issues I'm working through? Reba, I'm not the one who can't handle a few tough questions about my career. That was the final straw. Reba McEntire, with all the dignity and grace that had made her an icon, removed her microphone and placed it carefully on the chair. Jennifer, I've been asked tough questions by the best interviewers in the business. What you've been asking aren't tough questions. They're just mean-spirited attacks designed to make you feel important at my expense. Hudson, perhaps finally realizing the magnitude of her mistake but too proud to admit it, made one last desperate attempt to maintain control of the situation. Reba, come on now, don't be so dramatic. This is just television. The country legend turned to face Hudson one final time, her voice steady but filled with unmistakable disappointment. No, Jennifer, this isn't television. This is a lack of professionalism, a lack of respect, and frankly, a lack of basic human decency. I've been in this business long enough to know the difference. With that, Reba McEntire walked off the set with her head held high, leaving behind a stunned studio audience, a panicked production crew, and a host who had just learned the hard way that some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. The cameras continued rolling as Hudson sat alone at her desk, the weight of her actions finally beginning to settle in, while one of country music's most beloved figures disappeared through the studio doors, taking with her any semblance of dignity the show might have had left.